So welcome to eGovernance Academy workshop. And we will today tell you and demonstrate you what we do in eGovernance Academy. My name is Hannes Astok. I'm a Deputy Director in eGovernance Academy. And we have today 3 topics to discuss. The first one is about cybersecurity. And we will demonstrate you how cybersecurity attacks works today in real time. And they are not only against the governments. Most probably, the attacks are against you and taking place right now. The second demonstration is about online identity. We will describe you briefly what is online identity, and our colleagues from a company called Signwise will demonstrate you how digital signatures could be used also in cross-border business. And last but not least, we will tell you briefly what is eGovernance Academy, how we operate, in what countries we do, what kind of projects, and what is our business model. And also describe you what is the success model of implementing online government in different countries. But before we start, I'd like to remind you that you have excellent opportunity to feel like Estonian and use the ID cards, the test ID cards, what you get. So you can use this kit and the ID card, what you get, and you can feel like Estonian and also vote online. So please follow the instructions here. Use your computer, use the card reader, what was in the initial gift package, what you get, install it and vote. It's really easy. It's really convenient, and I hope after you have this experience, you will use it in your home country soon also. And we Estonians can help you implement it. But now let's start with a demonstration, the hacking demonstration. We have 2 excellent experts, Mr. Ragnar Ratas from Estonian Information System Authority and Mr. Raul Rikk, who is Director of Cybersecurity Program in eGovernance Academy. And you will also learn why you need this cybersecurity first aid kit, what you were getting on the doors. So you will learn why you need it and how to use it. But now, Raul and Ragnar, floor is yours.
Thank you from our side as well. It's really good to be here and talk about cybersecurity and also to do the demonstration. I hope you will find it quite exciting, and after that, as Hannes said, it's really worth to use this cybersecurity first aid kit that you have been given. But let's start with this. First of all, as we all know, cybersecurity has not been a hot security topic for many years. I remember the times when you talked about cybersecurity, people were laughing loudly or internally, but they didn't show any excitement about this security issue. They thought it's not relevant. It was years ago. But now it is really good to find out that the motto of Freedom Online Coalition is not emphasizing only freedom, but also security. At least in my mind, freedom is more or less related to availability of networks and information. And security is more related to integrity and confidentiality of information. So these both are important in this game where we are talking about freedom online. And I would say also that for many years, modern societies lived kind of in an understanding that the internet is relatively secure environment. Not totally secure, but relatively secure enough to develop hundreds and thousands different online services and make the societies also dependent on the network. And this kind of understanding prevailed for many, many years until we experienced several cybersecurity wake-up calls in recent years. So what we have seen, first of all, we experienced in Estonia in 2007 how the whole country could be attacked in cyber means. A year later, we saw in Georgia how cyber attacks could be, or cyber attacks are part of the military operations. A couple of years later, we saw how through the cyber attacks you can achieve the same kind of effect as through missiles or special operations. And finally, of course, last year we all heard how Edward Snowden raised the curtain from the new reality where cyber surveillance had become a daily phenomenon. And of course, the Edward Snowden case was the most important, but this kind of cyber surveillance and cyber spying had happened long ago and in several countries. And there is one very interesting case from Georgia, which happened a couple of years ago. So the case was in Georgia that Georgian IT experts found out in 2012, and about 400 security planners' computers were infected a specially designed virus. And among these 400 people, there were officials from the ministries, members of the parliament, people from think tanks, and also critical infrastructure operators. So all 400 people who are more or less dealing with security development, their computers were infected, and the attacker, the cyber spy, was able to take over all these 400 computers and monitor the activities in 2 years period. 2 years, 400 computers. And what the attacker was able to do, first, he was able to look what the computer owner has on the desktop, what he's doing. Also, the attacker was able to turn on the computer camera and record everything, all the Skype conversations, record who is behind the computer, what is in the background. The attacker was also able to turn on the computer's microphone and record all conversations, meetings, and wherever the person, the computer owner, was. In addition, the attacker was able to record all keystrokes, so he got necessary passwords to more secret environments. And also, and of course, the attacker was able to take all the files from the victim's computer, download it, look at it, analyze it, or if needed, also change the documents and put it back to the computer. So you will all see that here today. But I have to say some good words about Georgians as well, because the story didn't end there. Georgians fought back. They actually developed a fake document which was called Georgian NATO Security Agreement. And they infected the file with the same kind of virus. And they were lucky. The cyber spy, the attacker, downloaded it, and his computer got infected. And now Georgians were able to see who is behind the attack and what is the attacker is doing in his computer. And they found out that the attack was initiated and organized by the Russian security agency. So they got all this information. So this is a very good example how the cyber fighting takes place these days. But let's go to the practical effect demonstration. And now I hand over to Ragnar.
Good morning. My name is Ragnar, and together with Raul, we will conduct a live demonstration and show how these attacks are happening or what is the effect. But before we start, I will very briefly go through the scenario and set up what we have here on the stage. So let's start with the schematics. On the left, you will see the office network. This is the very same place where you go to work every day. You will sit down, plug in your laptop, perhaps connect your smartphone to the network. And in order to do your work, you also must send and receive emails, browse web, use information systems. And this means that the office networks are connected to the internet. Now, on the internet side, there are plenty of very good things, and it's very reasonable to have these networks connected. Otherwise, you won't be able to do your work. But besides all the good things, what's there are also bad guys. And these guys may want to target you or your organization in order to do or conduct malicious activities. Now, what we have set up here on the stage is 2 laptops. The one on the left, which is Raul is using, is the computer in your office network, and I'll be the guy on the internet trying to attack him. Now, yeah, let's talk about also the roles. So, okay, I'll be the bad guy, so-called cyber spy, attacking, and you can imagine Raul being a very high-level official in your country. In our demonstration, we will use the Estonian president identity, but nevertheless, it could be anybody.
So I'm playing the Estonian president at the moment, and this laptop here is the Estonian president's laptop at the moment.
Okay, can we please now switch to the computers? So, okay, my screen's up, and your screen is also coming up. Well, in short, everything that you will see behind me is happening in my computer, and everything you will see happening in there is happening in Raul's computer.
And in my computer, in the president's computer, you see the perfectly normal desktop view. So there is some documents, or there is the mail system. If I go to the documents, you see different files there. So it's like a normal personal laptop.
Okay, regarding my computer, then it's called Kali Linux. It's a freely downloadable tool which you can use. I will not go into technical details, but everybody who wants can download it. You will find plenty of guidelines, including videos on YouTube, how to use it. But this is not the point of this presentation. We will just like to show you what are the effects. Now, going to the attack itself, how usually these kind of targeted attacks happen is that attacker is doing all kind of research and trying to find as much useful information from the public internet about the target person or the target organization. And usually how they use this information is to craft some specific email which is sent directly to the victim, and it's looking very legit. It could have like malicious links in the email or attachments like PDF documents or Word documents or PowerPoint documents or anything like that. And what I've already done is that I've created this email and sent to the victim. So if you fire up your email client, you will most likely see it.
Yes, so I wake up in the morning, I open my computer, and first thing I want to know what kind of emails I have got. So I open the mailing system, and I see that, okay, there is invitation to the Freedom Online Coalition Conference. Very nice.
Okay, and before we do anything else, I will just explain what's wrong with that email. It's looking very legit. Actually, it's copy-paste of the real reminder or the real email, and it's only slightly modified. The one thing that's wrong with that, it is the URL. The right URL to the Freedom Online Conference is freedomonline.ee. But as you can see there is freedom-online.ee. And this means that when you click on that link, you will end up in a completely different server. It has nothing to do with Freedom Online Conference, and I've deliberately manipulated with that URL so that you will click on it and end up in the wrong page. So yeah, please do.
Yes, so I click on that.
Takes some time to load.
Yes.
Okay, it's in background, so.
Yeah. Yes, and a normal web page opens. So as a computer user, there is no way I can distinguish the different web addresses. Is there dot or dash? I simply don't pay attention to that. And it's a perfect way how to intrude to somebody's computer.
Okay, now before I begin, I will just comment on what's there. I made exact copy of the real page, and this is only because I don't want the victim to become suspicious about it. But what happened right now, behind this beautiful content, which looks exactly real, is hidden attack code, which run automatically and install the program into the victim computer, which over the internet called back to my computer. And now I will have my first initial access to this workstation. I will have to do a very quick technical step in order to get better foothold into the victim's computer, and then we can move on.
And once again, keep in mind that as a regular user, you don't have any way to understand, is there an attack behind on the clicking or not? So it's you click in the computer different pages, I would say tens or hundreds times per day or per hour, and you never think that is the link that you're clicking is the right one, not the right one. So it's from the regular person's point of view, it is a very difficult situation here to implement cybersecurity.
Okay, now I'm having sufficient foothold in his computer, and I can start doing all kind of things. Well, perhaps the first thing what's good to know is what the user is right now up to, what he's doing in his computer. And I can take screenshot from his desktop. In my computer, I will just type in screenshot, and this brings me up the same thing what the victim is doing, but right now I'm here, but I could be anywhere in the world because internet connects all parts.
And if I change something on my desktop, for example, I closed this window, and there is another picture on the desktop. So
and and basically I can, even if I want to, I can just watch like real time what he's up to and what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Now, besides screenshots, modern laptops also have integrated web cameras, and attacker can turn them on remotely and see what the victim looks like. And for me, it's again one command, websnap, and some parameters, and just hit enter, and it should bring up, yeah, here it is. And well, the thing is that actually these webcams are quite good in a sense of quality. So you can like zoom in, and depending on the situation, well, you can find very good information or useful information in the background. For example, if we take like military headquarters, then we'll probably find maps or whatever useful information there. Yeah, in our case, there's just the slides or the background, but this could happen.
Just imagine some kind of meeting that you consider relatively secure, or you want to have a classified meeting, and somebody brings this kind of computer to the meeting, and there is the cyber spy inside. So they can pretty much record or take the pictures, who is at the meeting, what is behind, and so on. And you don't know about that.
Okay, moving on. But besides webcams, modern laptops also have integrated microphones. And as it with the webcams, I can just remotely turn that on and start recording, and I will do that.
Yes, this is secure phone. We can talk about security things as well.
Okay, and now it's recorded. I will start the playback.
Yes, this is secure phone. We can talk about security things as well.
Okay, the quality isn't perfect because there's, it isn't perfect, but it's still totally understandable. But the other good thing about these laptop microphones is that you don't necessarily have to be directly behind the computer. Well, you've all probably done video conferences when one guy just puts the laptop on the edge of the table and everybody around the table can speak freely, and then the guy in the Skype conference can hear you just well. So basically, yeah, this is very good. You can't only record the people who's directly behind the computer. It will usually get everything what's in the room. But moving on, the other thing what's quite useful from the attacker perspective is that you can start logging and saving all the keystrokes what the victim is typing in his computer. And the reason why you would want to do that is to collect login usernames and passwords. So if some web page or information system only has, it's called one only one single-factor authentication, which means that you will only have username and password and nothing more. Then you can just record the keystrokes and later on see what's the password. And from my computer, I will just hit keyscan start, which will start the keylogger.
Yes, and from my side, I go, for example, I open the browser, and there is a Facebook link. I want to log in Facebook, and I'm a very good computer user. I have a nice username and very strong password as well, according to all passport rules. So I type in Thomas Hendrik Ilves, and here I type the password that you, of course, cannot see. Okay, you see this is long enough, better than normal, and I log in, and I think that I'm perfectly secure.
Okay, now on my computer, I will just type in keyscan dump, which will dump all the recorded keystrokes. And well, we can see here, I just zoom in, that the username is Thomas Hendrik Ilves, RI, and the password is strong password. So yeah, this will of course capture all kind of types or button presses what the victim is doing, but it also includes the username and password.
And it's not limited only with Facebook, so it's not Facebook's problem. It's just wherever you go, whatever you type, it's recordable.
Yep, but currently these methods or things that we just showed you was about spying on the end user, and usually this is not the case. The attackers want to get hands on your data. And as Raul showed before, he has lots of documents in his computer. And what I can do is I can browse those files. Just like he does in his computer, I'm just having slightly different view, but I can go to my documents, for example, download some file, say upcoming event. There's a draft speech, and I will download it. Do you want to show it also before?
Yes, I have the same. I have here a draft speech for upcoming event. I open it. It seems to be, it takes a little bit of time. And here is I see that's the final draft that I should take and talk according to that during the next event. I see there is like very nice story. There are some couple of numbers related, for example, aspects. There is 45, 20, 26 written, and these little details. But that's the final draft for the speech. So I'm happy that they have it. They close it. I'm ready to use it during the next event.
Okay. Now one thing is that, as I showed you, I can browse all his documents, download them into my computer, use them. But the other thing is that I can also modify them. So I would just open up the document that I just stole, which is the same one which you saw on the computer. This is the same draft speech. And I will make some changes. I will make changes to the facts which are presented in the speech. So let's change 40 to 80, 20% to, let's say, 70%, and 26% to 16%. I will save the changes and then upload this document back to the victim's computer. So there's a little bit of clicking here. And now if you open up the same document,
yes,
you will probably...
Now I am going to the event. I open my speech. And you already know what's going to follow, of course. And this is just a speech. Imagine that there is some other document, more sensitive. And now I see that instead of 40, there is 80. Instead of something, what was there, 40? 20%, there is 70, and instead of 26, there is 16. So the document is changed. And of course, I don't have any clue that somebody has done it to me.
Well,
And in practice, there is actually many people are keeping some very sensitive documents in their laptops. Just they want to be comfortable, they want to work in cafeterias, at the airports, wherever they go. And they keep much more sensitive documents in the computers. And of course, the attacker could steal them, change them, or play with them as the attacker wants.
Yep, but can we now for a second switch back to the slides? Okay, the thing is that high-level officials or government agencies, government authorities are not the only ones who might be affected by cyber attacks. And for example, let's change our scenario from high-level official to the critical infrastructure operator. Yeah, you can see already a traffic light in the corner, and I will very briefly explain how these things look like in the real world.
Yes, and now I'm not anymore the Estonian president. I finalized my term, I'm going back to the regular work, and now I'm the critical infrastructure operator, for example.
So, how these companies usually look like? Well, the beginning part is very same as in every organization. They will also have office networks where people work, read their emails, browse web. But in addition to that, they usually also have something called control center. This is where they monitor all the process, whether it be the traffic light system or substations or gas pipelines. So control room is the place where, in the end, usually the connections to the physical devices in the real world will be.
And normally these two environments should not be connected. They should be separate.
Yes, but if you don't apply cybersecurity best practices or are not up to your job, then, for example, in many cases, I've seen in my job that, for example, engineers who maintain and monitor and fix, for example, traffic lights with their workstations, they also want to read the email and browse web with the very same computer. So, of course, this is very convenient for the engineer, but from the attacker perspective, this gives me a very good opportunity. So I can do the similar attack, but now, besides the documents, I can also have access to the physical devices. And the beginning part is very same what you saw before. I will not go through that again. But the end result will be a bit different. So can we change back to the computers, please? Okay, mine's up. Okay, yeah, we're all good to go. And I don't know, very briefly, perhaps show what you have there.
Yes, so in my engineering computer, I have a special program that operates with traffic lights. Or it doesn't need to be a traffic light. It could be also a water supply system. It could be something else. Anyway, we're dealing with critical infrastructure here. And this special software controls the system. And usually, the system works properly. You expect to have like green light, yellow light, red light, and vice versa. This is the normal procedure, and this piece of software deals with that.
Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a slightly modified version of the traffic light automation software to the victim's computer, and then I will use the very same legit software that is already in the engineer workstation, because he has to use it every day to maintain his traffic light. And I will use that a little bit differently than you might expect. So the first thing, I will upload an attack code. You will probably, you will see that it ended up in the desktop. Then I'm gonna try and take over his graphical user interface, so I would have the same access as being physically behind the same computer. It would take some time, but hopefully within a couple of seconds I will have the screen. Okay, here it is. Now, what has happened is that the very same screen which you see on the victim side is also on my computer, remotely. And this gives me basically the same access as being physically behind the computer. Now, what I'm going to do is use the very same software that's already been there. It's legitimate software, but I will upload my own attack code to the traffic light. Just gonna show the press to the attack code. And the traffic light will stop for a second. And right now is the process when I upload the malicious logic to the traffic light, and it's done. Now if I turn it back on, you will see that it does completely other thing.
Now it's relevant to nightclub, but not in the traffic. But,
and again, the thing is that actually I didn't attack directly the automation equipment itself. I attacked the engineer who has legit access to the automation equipment, like the PLC behind the traffic light, and I use legitimate tools which the engineer uses every day, but uploaded my own attack code, and this changed everything.
And as we mentioned, that normally and years ago, these two systems were totally separated. So the office network was not connected to the control centers. But these days, people just want to have more flexibility. And from the kind of company's perspective, it's also reduced cost. So instead of having engineers on the place in one physical location all the time, you can have them in several places traveling around. And it's very comfortable if they can operate and change the settings if it's necessary through the computer. But at the same time, societies are creating these vulnerabilities to the critical infrastructure, unfortunately.
Okay, can we please switch back to the slides, and Raul, would you like to summarize?
Yes. So the basic question is that what is the conclusion? Is the conclusion now that we should forget using computers, put them aside, and go back to pen and paper? But of course not. In Estonia, at least, we think that there is no way going back. People are just want to use these new systems. But I think that the most important thing here is that if you really want to develop free internet and modern information society, then the comprehensive and regulated security has to be in place. And if you remain in this room throughout this day, you're going to see some of the solutions that we have implemented in Estonia years ago, and how we have used them, and what kind of security effect these solutions have given to us. So thank you very much from our side. It was our pleasure to do the demonstration to you, and if nothing more, then think how to use this cybersecurity first aid kit.
Yeah.
Thank you from our side.
From my side, I will end with the disclaimer that this happened in a controlled and isolated environment. No real systems, people, or organizations were attacked. So please don't think that we really hacked into president computer or into the Facebook. We didn't. This is controlled environment. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If there is any questions from the audience, feel free to ask them. Yes, please. We have a microphone also somewhere. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So is Mac generally safer than Windows?
Sorry?
Is Mac generally safer than Windows?
Ragnar maybe can answer.
No, sorry, yeah, it's working. No, you can't say that. The thing is that because Microsoft or Windows has lots of more users, then it's more targeted. But Linux has problems, OS X or Mac has problems, and today I just in the morning received a security information bulletin that Adobe Flash had one vulnerability which runs on all systems. So you can't say that Microsoft is better or worse than others. Just because it's very popular, then you might have the feeling that it's worse, but
yes,
definitely it's not the case.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Let me add that it doesn't concern only laptop computers or desktop computers. It concerns only smartphones and mobile phones as well. So whatever device you have with you, the same risks apply.
Thank you. Yes, there is another question. Yes, can we assist with microphone? Yes, please.
Yeah, my question is, can we all the time then relieve downloads from the computer from time to time? Is it safer? everything, whatever downloaded from outside, we can really delete all the time?
Oh, if I understand correctly, the question is whether it's a good idea to not keep the files from the beginning of times to the end of times. Yeah, if it's possible, then you should use some sort of archiving solution. For example, let's take your mailbox. If you have emails from last 10 years and somebody gets access to it, then it's quite a useful information. It will talk a lot about you and your work. But in real life, I won't think that you will need emails that are 10 years old. So archiving old files which are not regularly used, it's a good thing to do, I guess.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? If not, thank you very much. And as said, this first cybersecurity first aid kit consists a Band-Aid. You can tape your camera on your computer, as our president did. And also you can use this chewing gum to mute your microphone. And I said that on the mobile phones it's also a big problem, but if you mute your microphone in your mobile phone, it's probably mostly useless. But we have more sophisticated solutions also in eGovernance Academy, so please write us or call us. We can advise you also in government policy level. Well, once again, thank you, Raul and Ragnar, for this excellent demonstration. And I hope the traffic lights in your cities will work well after you have implemented good security policies. Actually, there was a story a year ago in Los Angeles in US where the traffic light controllers made kind of strike and they turned all the traffic lights in LA to red. Actually, some of the guys were afterwards jailed for violating the rules, but you can imagine if the next step is not to turn all the traffic lights to red, but all the traffic lights to green, what will happen in your city? And it's not a good scenario. So think about it, how to work with cybersecurity. Well, our next topic is online identity and digital identity, what it is and how to do, and we will have a demonstration from the company Signwise. But before we go to a demonstration, we will have a short introduction about the digital identity management as a pillar of infrastructure, and Mrs. Mari Pedak, senior expert in eGovernance Academy, will give us an introduction about the topic. Mari, floor is yours.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. My name is Mari Pedak, and before I joined eGovernance Academy team, I worked 22 years for Estonian government, and digital identity and identity management, development and implementation of Estonian ID card was my job for many years. But starting from beginning, every country has two big challenges: to record well population and to develop e-government. Talking about e-government, as a car needs 4 wheels to drive, so e-government needs at least 4 infrastructure elements to drive. We have seen in many countries that technical infrastructure is well developed, databases are well developed, but authorities are surprised somehow why service providers don't develop e-services. And one of the reasons is that the digital identity management isn't well developed, because you know that in interactions, the trust between partners is really important. Service provider and consumer of services both want to be sure that partner is known and is trustable. And in digital world, usually identity provider or third trusted party is between. It should be state or any private company, trusted or supported by state, as it is in Estonia. the identity system is in Estonia is built around the personal identification code. It's really useful to have trustable and good identity management in physical world in place. Then it's really easy to move and build trustable digital identity management. In Estonia, the personal identification code and identity management is closely related to personal identity documents, and digital identity is provided to our citizens through digital identity documents. Just some words about the identity management development. Our personal identity code was implemented already in 1992, and at the same time, population register was established. First, digital identification was provided by our banks, and 2002 Estonian ID card was implemented. Third identity is our mobile identity implemented by private companies in 2007. Very briefly about digital identity management principle used by Estonian state. Our position is that it's state monopoly and responsibility at the same time. We have centralized identity management. We use principle one person, one identity. We keep one-to-one relation between certificates and users of the document, and as I said, everything is built around personal identification code. And so the identity document development is directly linked to identity management documents. We have ID card, we have digital ID card implemented in 2010, and mobile ID, all very trustable and used in e-service development. Our population is, 1.3 million, and we have 1.2 active ID cards used by population. We calculate that 500,000 active users, and although more than 150 million digital signatures has given so far. And finally, about our ID card as a medium of digital identity. As usually, our card enables visual identification, digital identification, use of personal unified email address provided by state. ID card is a travel document. Most important role is that ID card opens all databases. We keep our data in secure databases and use ID card as a key to get all this information. And finally, our ID card enables to give digital signatures, but now it's time to give our floor to Tiit, who will explain how it works in cross-border services. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Can I have the slides? Okay. Hopefully the slides will be here in a brief second. My name is Tiit Anman, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Signwise, the company who has making one step further with Estonian ID card experience. So, as Mari said, the infrastructure which is built to help to connect people and the services, doesn't matter from service provider point of view, is it public service, private service, then in Signwise we have done additional layer on that level. So each and every country who has introduced ID card infrastructure or who is dealing on the government side with the electronic identity, has built all these infrastructures based on the in-country needs. So typically we see that in Estonia, the government has built the service what is suitable for Estonian citizens. Immediately when we have a need or participant in the business transactions abroad, then the system is no good, or the person needs to be legalized and going through the Estonian process of getting identity. Similar things happen in Latvia, Lithuania, Finland, you name it, they have it. In Sunwise, can I have next? Oh, it's mine. Sorry. In Sunwise, one of the primary targets of building a platform has been that how to overcome the challenge that we do have kind of in physical world we can move cross borders, but in the digital world we are kind of encapsulated or forced to be inside our borders. And as a basic principle to really kind of making the not just free internet, but really how to make in European Union we have this digital agenda. There are a lot of initiatives how to make cross-border digital services, but if you don't have the identity what can be used on other countries, like we have the ID card when crossing the border to Finland, I can use it, but when I need to interact with Finnish government, I can't. So on the platform side, we have done the integration. At the moment, the service is up and running in 6 countries. 4 of them are from European Union. It's Baltic countries plus Finland, Switzerland, and Azerbaijan. So, but before going into more details, I would like to do a practical demonstration what the use of ID card actually means, how the people physically are able to use the card. The cards you have on your registration packages are similar to the cards. The only difference between your cards and Estonian official cards is that Estonian cards are issued by police and there is the full identity proving process or kind of one-to-one interconnection is happening. With your cards, this connection is not there, so you can have the experience, but the signatures given are not legally binding. But can we swap the screens? So we have the scenario. This is my special mailbox prepared for the Freedom Online Coalition demonstration, and I have a country manager in Latvia who has prepared a document for me to be signed. So there is, it doesn't matter what kind of contract you actually need. If there is a need to have a document which is legally signed with legally binding e-signature, then using these eID cards, it's possible. So on the service point of view, when talking about cybersecurity, one of the critical aspects is the information delivery. So on the information delivery side, we are addressing as well the challenge how to securely deliver the physical documents to the persons, not really using the email as a transport, because we all know that typical email is like sending postcards and all the documents are freely accessible. I see the notification. In this case, it's authentic. I have verified. And I have certain direction for me. So there is a unique link for the document as well the kind of guidelines, what should I do. So the guideline says that I need to use my eID card or mobile ID to access the document, to get verified, am I the correct person to access, and if I agree with the document, I can immediately sign it as well. For the demonstration purposes, let's click to the link. So this is the first step, and we are getting in the service into the place where physically you need to use the reader as well. So we are panen the kaart siis. So when talking about the access control, now what happens on the service, my Latvian country manager has defined that I am the only one who can access the document with my eID card. For some reason, Liisi got the link, got the email, and tries to manipulate or get the data from me. So let's see, can she do with her secure authentication? No. What's... Pane okeille lihtsalt. Yeah. So what happened was the system was checking the personal code of Liisi from the certificates and trying to match it with the personal code related to this particular document access code. So I have my own ID card. So let's see, do I get access to that document? Okay. And now it's my turn to type in my PIN 1 to authenticate, and voila, I have access to the metadata of the document. So nothing has been delivered so far. I have had email notification, I have the metadata in the service, and I see that there is a very important confidential document for Latvian participant. There is physical content of that. I see that my Latvian country manager has signed that, and there is a certain deadline for me. So if let's imagine I was reviewing the document, but I can retrieve it now. So we have made a secure tunnel from the service provider to the physical laptop of the user, and then we can retrieve the document. So this is the really kind of important aspect of securing the physical documents. Okay, let's proceed with the signing. And now I need to use my my signing PIN, and I'm doing the transaction. And now we have a document which is signed with legally binding signatures from 2 countries. My country manager from Latvia signed his part of the document. I was doing the same from my side, and we have the document which is valid in all over the world, actually. So on the practical scenario point of view, what we have done a couple things. First of all, we securely authenticated the user. We validated the access control. We secured the document with the signature, maintaining the integrity. So if somebody wants to change that document now, accessing through the nice demo we saw from Raul and Ragnar presentation, then he's not able to change and manipulate this data, because this data is now secured, and it's there for ever ages, etc. And I can do whatever I need with this particular document, with all regulators, with all the private companies, with service providers, etc. Okay, can we go back to the slides? So, what is e-signature? In simple essence, e-signature is a way to secure the document with the physical person electronic identity, which is typically delivered in form of token. In Estonian case, there is actually some more ways. There are as well USB tokens, but typically it's ID cards or mobile ID. So these are the most common tokens, and there is a specific process of government monopoly how the identity is verified, and there is regular updates on that after each 5 years when you need to attend police in Estonian case. Then we have the certificates issued to this particular person in the secure element of ID card, which is in a way your permit of access into all online world. Of course, At the moment, a lot of services, they are country-based, but in Europe, a lot of efforts is done in order to get it more heterogeneous and really on wider use as well. And then the third aspect is legal. On the legal aspect, digital signature is valid and possible in Europe since 1999 December. So Estonian Digital Signature Act was one of the first implementations of that European Union directive, and we see next generation of legislation happening at this present moment with the current European Parliament. And we have listed, no, actually, there are a couple additional things I have to mention. So we address the security. Obviously, signing documents like this helps to save a lot of time. There is certain aspect of saving costs. In Estonia, we have done analysis. It's not fully audited, but the kind of results of that analysis was that in average, each and every digital signature can save you 1 hour. In Estonia, this year alone, we are expecting to have approximately 50 million digital signatures. We have 1.2 million ID cards, which means that 40 digital signatures per ID card holder. 40 signatures times 1 hour means 40 hours. It's full work week. And full work week is 2% hypothetical GDP, and 2% of GDP in Estonia is what we spend on defense forces. So just with the ID card system enabling digital signature, we are able to save the, get savings for the society what actually government is spending for defense. So it's kind of fair deal, I truly believe. And of course, there are certain travel costs what we can cut away as well. But now to the legal.
The fact is that we can create new technologies, and we do that. Also, we can integrate these new technologies into real life and use them every day. But mostly it is possible when we have some legal framework, legislation for that, like e-signature. E-signatures is legally valid, and e-signature has the same legal meaning as handwritten signature. This is not only that way because of the development of technologies. It is that way because we have done such decisions, and we have created some legal acts to regulate e-signatures. Psychological impact for users is not small. For sure, it can be declared that the higher users is hanging for the better confidence level from users. There are many possibilities how to encourage users to use electronic signature. The best way is, of course, legislation. For example, law systems where is declared expressis verbis, this means in written form, that the e-signature is one out of signature, encourage users more to use electronic signature in their everyday life. Why? Because states create environment for legal relationships and also mental readiness. It is not allowed to discriminate a document which is in electronic form or signed by electronically. If you use your electronic signature in some other country, then it is exactly the same declaration of intention as in your home country. Most countries, or quite many countries, have already legal system for electronic signature, some proper legislation, and even more countries are working with that right now. So make your updates and start to use legally valid electronic signatures.
Okay, to sum it up, so as this conference is all about making internet-free, more secure, then definitely on the secure aspect we can deliver a lot of value to the users. And we call up you to join the signing revolution and really to contribute to make world more secure and smaller. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any questions, comments? Tiit can answer? Not yet? So thank you very much.
And of course, can I have a, yeah, there, if
Statement.
There are, yeah, statement. So the digital ID kits, so if you don't have your own computer but you have the kit, then there are actually these polling stations as well. That's as well option to use them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And to summarize this section of our workshop, I think it's really valuable to have a cross-border signatures, because I think all of you are in a way or another involved in international projects, and you need to sign the documents cross-border. And the solution what is provided by Signwise or other providers, it really helps us to sign the documents cross-border in the way that our counterparts in other countries also understand that this is the valid signature, and not to deliver documents by courier services or just fly in first class to some other country just to sign the contract and then fly back in the same evening. Just give you another sample of value of the digital signatures and strong digital identity. This is my personal sample. It was 5 years ago. I was in Macedonia, very nice and brave country in Western Balkans. And suddenly I was getting a call from my son, who was with my car in car repair in Estonia. And he called me that the car is ready after repair, and they are asking for the payment, what is normal. But according to my opinion as a car owner, I had a contract with a car repair shop that they deliver me an invoice, and I will transfer this invoice from my bank account. And he handed the phone over to the manager, and I was asking that we must have an agreement. And they said they cannot find it, because they sent me out by ordinary mail, and by my opinion, I was sending them back, but they didn't find it. So I was asking what I can do. Can you send me now a digitally signed contract, and I can sign it and send you back, and then you can issue an invoice? They said, yes, we can do it. So after 5 minutes, I get an email with a digital document signed by the car repair shop manager. I was signing it in Macedonia with my digital signature, sending back to Estonia, and the problem was solved. In ordinary case, there was just no solution. With a digital signature, we have really good solutions. But now, going back to today's last topic, what is activities of e-Governance Academy, and I'd like to ask here to come here also my colleague, Mr. Arvo Ott, who is a director of e-Governance Academy, and we do you a short presentation what we do in e-Governance Academy and what are our activities. So to start the issue, I'd like to underline one very important issue. What is e-governance? E-governance is electronic democracy plus electronic government. Often we are discussing about e-government or online government, but we need to take the broader view. It's democracy plus government, it's together governance. How we take this picture in e-Governance Academy, we'd like to see it as a holistic view. We connect research results. We use the research results in the consultancy, and we use the same results in the training. And definitely it's connected to the hands-on experience of our experts and who are working in e-Governance Academy, who have long-term hands-on experience in Estonian government and other countries' governments, together with international expertise from our pool of international experts. Academy was founded in year 2002 by the Estonian government, Open Society Institute and UNDP, And actually, it was kind of spin-off of Estonian government because Arvo, who was working in those years in the Ministry of Communication, was just tired to get endless number of delegations and training requests from the foreign countries. And the government decided it's better to build up a new institution together with international cooperation partners who can provide the training, who can be the center of excellence and center of knowledge. Today we have had activities in more than 40 countries, and we have over 2,000 participants in trainings, mainly high government officials. We have 16 persons of staff, we are growing rapidly, and also we are using wide network of international experts who all have practitioners with hands-on experience. So we do consultancy and training, research and analysis. We have 4 programs: central government program, online democracy program, municipal e-governance program, and the latest child is cybersecurity program, and you just today were able to learn the results from this program also. We have wide international cooperation, and this map just shows part of our activities. Currently, we almost have reached all the continent, except the North Pole. There is no interest still from penguins about e-government. Well, we operate in donor-initiated projects, so mostly requests for our consultancies coming from the donors, like international donor organizations or countries who ask for assistance, and all our activities are project-based, so e-Governance Academy is not government financed institution, but we are working according to the incomes what we get from our projects. We have wide pool of donors, starting from Estonian government, Estonian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Open Society foundations. We are working with mainly on the online democracy project, UN organizations, World Bank, European Union, and also national development cooperation agencies from Sweden, from US, and other countries. And currently we are working in Moldova, Ukraine, Armenia. In Moldova we are implementing cybersecurity policies. In Ukraine we are working with municipalities, online solutions like document management system and others. In Armenia we are developing with the central government the online solution. In Palestine we are implementing government interoperability projects. In Tunisia we are working with online identity management issues, and the same in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And with Indian government we are working to train the central government and provincial government or state government officials. And what is typical products of our work? They are government architecture frameworks, supportive legislation development, building up sustainable organizations, and also we are assisting to select the best technological components and definitely building trust and confidence to e-government. And also we are assisting to set up online democracy processes and developing some online democracy tools. In practice, it's the process when we start to work with some country or some project. We assess the needs, we develop the work plan and budget. We also assisting often the country to create the pool of donors. So it might be many donor organizations from different countries or international donor organizations who like to attend in the same project. And after we implement the project with, together with the local stakeholders, we make a quality assurance and monitoring, and definitely we are working together with recipients about the follow-up activities. Well, it's often asked that, can we export the government from Estonia? Basically, we can discuss about it. We need to learn that e-government is a very complex issue, actually. It's technical solutions, it's legal framework, and it's the organization. And definitely, the technical solution is pretty easy part. Legal framework is very much connected to the country's history and traditions, and the same appears to the organization. So if you ask, are we able to export the e-government from Estonia? So my question is, are you ready to start your government from blank page? In this case, if you say yes, you are ready to take over Estonian technical solution, Estonian legislation, and the Estonian organization. Okay, we can do it quickly in a couple of months. But I haven't met any country who says that, yes, we will wipe out our existing legislation, we wipe out our government organization, and we will replace it with Estonian model. Definitely, you might be interested to have some technical solutions, you might be interested to somehow take some ideas from our organization and some ideas how the legislation is developed, but most probably you're not ready to take it 100% over. So I now handle over to Arvo, and Arvo will, as a long-term Estonian government CIO and long-term director of Estonian e-Governance Academy, has really wide experience in working in more than 30 countries in very various projects. So what are your main lessons learned from those countries by implementing e-government solutions?
Okay, thank you very much and good morning everyone. Just I understood that Hannes is saying that now you see old guy who saw everything almost in e-government. It's not true. We are seeing every day new things, and just my role is slightly difficult. Just now I tried to give some more general opinions or just lessons learned from Estonian side and from my personal experiences, and this experience is more than 20 years, and our e-Governance Academy is working more than 10 years already. But we see many countries similar frameworks and similar problems and similar challenges. And for today, like we started from some good examples about possible risks and some examples how you can avoid these risks, I will just show you some of this kind of slides with this more general aspects of e-governance. And starting from policies and kind of strategies. And one complicated thing in all the countries is that politicians are expecting results not after 10 years, but they're expecting results in 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. And then from other side, it's trust building. It takes sometimes 5 years, 6 years. In Estonia, we felt that, I remember in Estonia that when Estonian law on e-signatures or digital signatures was launched, and politicians were asking, actually, some politicians were asking that, okay, now next month everybody start to use digital signatures. Now we see after maybe 10 years that now it's a pretty nice situation. A lot of people are using and they really have impact already. So this is one aspect which can influence the story. And what I saw in several countries that if the IT coordination is too close to the party policy, then it may be bit bad, because after a new situation in government, these guys have failed and these guys are not getting a job anymore, and new guys are starting again, and it takes 6 months or 1 year. Okay, this political expectation can be just solved in today's technologies. If you look to the cloud computing and some of the service frameworks, you can just establish very fast in technical sense, but it still takes time to look on organization and legislation. Second aspect which I found is quite interesting is that you do not trust too much international benchmarks. If you focus too much on international benchmarks, maybe you are not you are not doing something which is important in your country. And those benchmarks are very much related to the methodology, and this is something what just causes additional risks. So it's in many countries we see that there are already several and quite nice services, but take-up takes still time. And it was clear picture also from Estonia that it took about 5 or 6 years, and it's can't be done during one period of political or government. So it's usually just taking a long time than politicians are expecting. Another aspect I wanted to stress is that quite many countries we see that political will is existing. So high politicians are pushing very much on e-government and information society, and from other side also the companies can do the things. But what is missing is a mid-level management and people who are aware and who know what to do. And this is, I think, also one of our roles in our international projects to help establishment of this mid-level management and planning. One funny thing that we saw several countries that you should know what terminology you are using. In few countries we saw that if we say that we try to just look to e-democracies, and they're saying, no, we don't have any problems with democracy. But then it's if we start to talk about document management and services, then they are happy to do it. And quite often they are just also happy to have feedback from citizens. So terminology might be just an interesting issue to tackle and to avoid some misunderstandings in some countries. Now it's, Hannes showed already this balanced picture with e-democracy and e-service or e-government side. And it seems that this e-participation and e-democracy is becoming more and more important everywhere. What is different compared with 15 years ago, where the main e-democracy tools have been just developed by the governments and offered to the citizens. Now everybody can use some free tools like Facebook or some other means to cooperate and coordinate and communicate. And if government is not in the same field, then it's becoming a problem. And as we saw in in North Africa, they called it even Facebook revolution. It means that people are using some tools where government is not participating. Another thing, technology often is overestimated. So it's not really the question how to build and how to make programs. The problems are usually in organizational management, legislation levels, and technology can build relatively fast, but also other aspects much slower. And I want to emphasize also that technology cannot change the processes, and processes should be changed by people, and then at the end the people are just key players there. And now maybe one short comment at the end of my just short presentation is that in Estonia we have just talked a lot also about policies and strategies. And the question might be that if this policy strategy is driving force or not. Several countries have brilliant strategies, and those strategies have been just written by quite often international experts, and so politicians are happy that strategy is existing, but nothing really happening in real world. And then we have experiences from some countries, they never had very good policy papers, but many steps have been done. So it's like question mark here, how much you should focus on policies, and maybe you just also have to look to the practical sides of those things. So we can just ask that, is it policy-driven development or development-driven policy important? And I would say that in first 5 or 6 years in Estonia, we have exercising very much this development-driven policies. So most of our policy statements are describing something what we just tested before in technology side. And now, of course, in our academy also, we are very much emphasizing that the strategies and policies should be in place, but not only. And so this is question mark, and we are also discussing those issues with most of our projects and clients. So It's definitely trust building, which takes time. You should understand the risks, and the risks are not only on technology side, but also organizational and legal side. And what we learned in Estonia, that really if we are just looking to all those different aspects, electronic identity frameworks which enable you to securely exchange data, stable organizational setup, policies in place, and this kind of technical framework, which is also very important. So if you look those things together, then you really just can build trustable and confidence in society, and people start to use more and more services and trust those services. And one final comment maybe, and yesterday it was asked also that maybe it was only Estonia, like a small country, can do those things. In technical sense, I'm pretty sure that the complexity of the systems doesn't matter, is a big country or small country. The problems are in organization, and problems are legal regulations, and problems are not in technology. So this is my last statement, and this is what is also in our mission. We would like to develop a better world with the tools of information society, and this better world should be also trustable and secure.
Thank you, Arvo. Well, if there is any questions, comments, if somebody likes to put, everybody's waiting for the coffee break. That is true. So, thank you very much for attending. I really kindly ask you to use the demonstration kit to vote. And if there's any questions you like to address us, please turn us by email or phone calls, or until you are here in Estonia today or tomorrow, please visit us and please agree with us for additional meetings. Thank you very much for this workshop, our presenters, our partners, and for you, for audience. Thanks again for visiting Estonia. I hope you get some inspirations, and have a nice day during the remaining conference. Thank you very much.